is starting to come out. I want to put this headline up here on the screen, and I just want to let this sink in for a moment, okay? We'll come back to it in a second, but just put this up here on the screen. And I want you to think about this headline and the absurdity of the thing that you're reading, of what NATO is doing in Ukraine. Now, keep this up here for a second. I'm going to read it in case you're listening to the audio version. I'll read you this headline. It says, Pentagon recruiting and training ex-Afghan pilots to plug holes in Ukraine's Air Force.
Where'd they get them? We're not giving them visas.
Oh, no. Some of them, these are in the United States, Afghan pilots who have signed a contract to go to Ukraine to fight on behalf of who? The United States? NATO? Ukrainians? On a suicide mission? Anyway, let that linger for a second, because we're going to come back to that in a moment. But I think you are watching the collapse of Western power happen in real time. So a couple of big stories that I want to call your attention to first. First, we're being told that the West is not in utter decline. They're lying to us about this. We heard this from the White House this afternoon, that we've built the strongest economy in U.S. history, according to Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, that there's no such thing as inflation. We're not in a recession because we changed the definition of that. And yet you're being lied to. All you need to do is look around. Today, NASA was set to launch their Artemis rocket, right? It'd be the first unmanned rocket to the moon and the first mission to the moon in 50 years. Why haven't we been back since 1972, by the way? Buzz Aldrin says we never went to the moon. I don't know if you know that. So he did. He said, well, an 8-year-old asked him that question. He said, why haven't we been back to the moon in so long? And he said, well, the real question is, well, we never went to the moon. We never went in the first place. Well, thank you, Buzz, for finally telling
Where are you going
the
with
truth.
this?
Well, anyway, that's just a side note.
Okay.
I was just thinking about that today. Buzz, by the way, Buzz is also, I've interviewed Buzz Aldrin, and some of the things, one of the things he said is, like, look, there's obelisks on Mars. Why are we not talking about these man-made structures on Mars? Thank you, Buzz. And he has all his handlers surrounding him, like telling him not to tell the truth about it. Anyway, sidebar. Sorry, I get off on my Buzz Aldrin
Is an
stuff.
obelisk man-made? That's also another tangent that we need to refrain ourselves from. Let's go back to...
So, yeah, NASA today was set to launch their new moon rocket, the Artemis, right? It failed on the launch pad. What a really sad moment for America. Like, this was supposed to be like the end of summer. We're going back to the moon. All NASA's live feeds, all the network coverage. We have reporters down there, CNN reporters and MSNBC report. Everyone's down there at the launch pad. Failed. It failed. NASA scrapped the launch. Gas leaking all over the launch pad. Just watch this pitiful press conference with Bill Nelson, NASA administrator. It's embarrassing.
Welcome back to the coverage of Artemis 1 launch here at the Launch Control Center at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. I am here with Administrator Bill Nelson, who was on hand for the launch today, which had hoped to be a big moment in history for the Space Center, but instead it'll have to wait for another day. The launch attempt was scrubbed. Administrator, thank you for being here. What are your thoughts? How are you feeling after all of this anticipation and build-up, and then unfortunately couldn't go today?
We don't launch until it's right. And in fact, they've got a problem with the gases going on the engine bleed on one engine. You can't go.
You can't go when your rocket is leaking gas.
No, can't.
The best country in the world, right? We hear that all the time. Greatest country in the world.
Don't worry, we have gas to spare.
Yeah, so we're leaking gas all over our moon rocket. Someone in the chat says, why are we going to the moon during a recession, by the way? Great question. So I'm sure this is, no big deal to worry about. This was going to launch our return to the moon, our manned missions back to the moon 50 years later.
I think that the average American, though, only contributes like 4 cents per year to NASA. So that might be why.
Maybe.
So it's not really costing you this much, but as an opportunity cost, sure, it's huge.
So this is part of the Western decline, right? These little moments that, in and of itself, it might not seem like much, but when you add it to the larger whole, I think it speaks volumes about our infrastructure crumbling. We can't even pass an infrastructure package in the United States of America. People are drowning in electric bills right now. Their energy costs are skyrocketing. They can't pay their bills. Then you have a brand new multi-billion-dollar flagship NATO warship, which was launched. They couldn't make it out of the port because of all kinds of mechanical problems. This aircraft cost billions of dollars. This aircraft carrier, billions of dollars. It was the top of the line British NATO warship.
Makes you wonder, is their heart really in it?
Or is this all part of the process where you have the military industrial complex? It doesn't matter because we make reusable crap that we know we're not really going to be using. We just need to come in and now provide maintenance on it for more billions of dollars and charge taxpayers more and more, right? You may ask yourself, why in the hell does it cost us $6 billion to build a warship and the exact same warship costs the Chinese about $1 billion? Someone's getting ripped off. Why are we paying $6 billion more than what the Chinese can do? So these Chinese, and you want to keep provoking now. So this warship can't move. This aircraft carrier is stuck. The propeller is broken. There's a whole mess with the driving of this aircraft carrier. It cannot move. And yet we've paid billions of dollars for this. Now we want to keep provoking the Chinese bear by running warships through the Taiwan Strait this afternoon. This afternoon, China sent 37 ships into the Taiwan Strait. Look at that. You want to mess with that? That's after the United States did the same thing. They sent a few ships there the other night. And
maybe they're just coming in to tow us out of there. Did you ever think of that?
It's a tugboat.
Can you put that picture back up, Philip? I don't know if you can, but just look at that. We got a warship, that can't move, and you have this armada going through the Taiwan Strait.
And the first ones are submarines.
Yeah, right? Here are our subs. Here's all of our, This is a portion.
You can't see.
Exactly. Yeah, this is just here. Oh, we'll just send a fraction of what we have to the Taiwan Strait, crossing over the median line into Taiwan, by the way. So, again, this is what the West is dealing with. And then, of course, you have this announcement today from the White House. The White House sets a date for the first hunger conference. This event will be the first of its kind in over 50 years as inflation in the United States strains food budgets. So the greatest country in the world is leaking gasoline over a launch pad in Florida, trying to get back to the moon. It can't. NATO and its its allies are launching aircraft carriers that are stuck and can't move because they're broken down. We can't even get the F-35s off the ground properly. So in fact, that aircraft carrier is going to be landing airplanes that actually don't even work. And we have an aircraft carrier that can't actually get out of the water and move anywhere. And then we have a hunger conference because people are starving right now.
I'm wondering, if the F-35 is what's going to be landing on that aircraft carrier that doesn't move. We got
the $3 trillion that we've wasted on the F-35 program, the absolute disaster. So I think Ralph Schulhammer, friend of the show, Ralph Schulhammer, said it best with this little clip I want to play for you.
Is that the nations that built the industrialized world, they have lost their stamina, right? Think about it this way. In the United States, the average environmental impact study by the US government takes 5 years to be ready. Compare this to the building of the Golden Gate Bridge in the 1930s. That took 4 years. The Hoover Dam took 5 years. The Germans can no longer build an airport under 14 years. So there are things we simply can no longer do.
Yeah. And now Germany is wanting to prop up Ukraine with additional weapons and wants to modernize Ukraine's military that was announced today. So we're all in on Ukraine. The United States is about to send more HIMARS vehicles to Ukraine. And this comes as the Pentagon, in a new report out this week, also admits that they think almost all of these weapons now are going to the black market. They can't track them. They can't find them. From the Pentagon. So you have a Pentagon whistleblower coming out and admitting that these things are winding up on the black market. Let's just keep sending them shit. So meanwhile,
I guess I'm a bigger patriot than you, Clayton, because I'm willing to starve for Ukraine. You know what I mean? We got to send them more money so they can win this. So I'm willing to starve. I'm a true patriot. It doesn't
count if you are a proponent of intermittent fasting. Okay.
Okay.
So
today was his today is his fasting day. So today he's fasting for Ukraine.
He's fasting for Ukraine.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, I remind you that most of the data shows that the world has enough food for its population. It's more a distribution problem and a waste problem than an actual, like, we need to starve, you know.
Right.
It's the global economy. There is enough food.
Right. Well, when you have consolidation of power and they take all of your farms away from you and they control the supply, and then the little people don't get the food, right? Yes, of course, there's the food, but when you take it all away and Bill Gates buys up farmland and they run farmers out of business, that's what happens. So meanwhile, something big is about to happen in Ukraine. So get ready for it. This afternoon, NATO-led Ukrainian forces bombed the roof of a nuclear power plant. So they did continue to bomb the nuclear power plant in Zaporizhzhia. This is, they hit the building near reactor number 2. This is the worst attack yet. We can throw up some of these photos here, Philip, if you would. This is the worst attack yet on the plant to date. These attacks are being directed by U.S. intelligence and the use of NATO weapons to do this. Now,
stop it. People are going to die, and we're all going to have nuclear bread as a result.
This building, by the way, that you're looking at here with these holes in the roof, holds the nuclear fuel storage, which is the largest in Europe. If that fuel gets hit, the whole thing goes up, okay? This is, if you look at these pictures between reactor 2 and 6 of the power plant in the background, the roof of this building is in the foreground, is totally breached. The building just beyond it houses the nuclear reactor there. See number 2 right there? Yeah, the nuclear reactor is right there. So this is the fuel storage building that was hit. So this afternoon, Russia calling on international inspectors to get to the plant now.